Google strategy page. We are going to discuss about Google strategy as it has been over the years, and all what we are going to discuss is based on the book How Google Works. The book is written by Dr. Schmidt and Jonathan Rosenberg. Dr. Schmidt, he was hired as Chief Executive Officer in 2001 and he remained CEO for about a decade. Jonathan Rosenberg, he was hired as head of the products and he has been associated with the launch of majority of Google's successful products. Now, the kind of strategic thinking that is associated with Google is quite disparate from the kind of thinking, business thinking, you will associate with a firm. Google thinks that irrespective of the sector that you are in, irrespective of the geography that you are in, your plan, your business plan is wrong. The reason being, you cannot have a business plan in today's internet age and expect it to answer everything. You can only have basic foundations, and those basic foundations, they have to guide your plan, but your plan has to be flexible and iterative. And notice the basic foundations that you have learned at your school or at your workplaces, those foundations have become defunct and hackneyed. So you need to learn new foundations that can somehow direct your plan in today's vertiginous environment. Now, Google started in 1998 and till 2001 it didn't have any detailed strategic plan. It was only in 2001 Google's founders, they saw the potential for rapid expansion. So they started hiring talent, lots of talent, young talent, experienced talent, and they found that in-house there was a debate about what kind of strategy Google should have. Jonathan Rosenberg, he was in favor of having a traditional, detailed MBA type strategic plan, whereas the newcomers, people like Suzanne Wojcicki, Marissa Mal, Salan Kamanger, they wanted that Google should have a flexible strategy and that strategy should give leeway to Google's employees to explore their creativities within the precincts of that plan. Ultimately, the viewpoint of the young prevailed, and a presentation titled Google Strategy Past, Present and Future was curated and it was presented to the board. Since then, that presentation has served as the foundation for strategic planning for Google over the years. You can use the strategic wisdom in the document to create your internet age success story. Let us try to poke into strategic wisdom associated with that document. Now, Google believes that you must use technical insights to create conspicuously superior products. Google was based on PageRank algorithm and it made Google much better than the competitor search engines like Excite and Alta Vista. When Google was in its primordial and incipient stage, it had competitors like Excite and Alta Vista. These search engines, the index, the content on the search engines are the basis of the content of the websites. And this many times gave irrelevant results. Google started ranking the search results on the basis of not just content of the websites, but also on the basis of linkages these websites had. It didn't took into cognizance only the number of links, it also rated the quality of the links. If a website had large number of academic links, it was considered as more trustworthy. The result of this algorithm was that Google was able to trump its competitors. Over the years, Google has launched multitude of products. Some of the products they have been successful, and some of the products they have not been successful. And in the hindsight, the products that have been successful, they have been the products that have been based on technical insights. Look at AdWords. It is one of the most important sources of revenue for Google, and it is based on technical insight that Google is not going to place advertisements of the advertisers who are willing to pay the most. Google is going to place the advertisements which are relevant to the search results. Google News, it is based on technical insight that you can sort the news on the basis of their nature. Google Chrome, it's hugely popular and successful product of Google, and it is based on technical insight that as the websites they grew complex, you needed a browser which could handle that complexity. On the flip side, Google has had its fair share of failures. Many of Google's products such as Notebook, SiteWiki, Knoll, Health, they have been failures despite Google's big brand value. And all of these products, they were either based on insights that became dated as the internet evolved, or they lacked technical insights from the onset. So you gotta base your products on the basis of technical insights. Now, technical insight is a very simplistic concept for Google. According to Google, it is just a new way of applying technology or design that either drives down the cost or increases the functions and the usability associated with the product by a significant factor. The resultant product, it is fundamentally better than the competition in an obvious way. Now, Google believes that you must create combinatorial innovations. Google's chief economist Halvarian says that today is the age of combinatorial innovations. 200 years back, there was standardization in the sizes of gears and pulleys, and that led to industrial revolution. Similarly, today we have got large number of components such as open source softwares, abundant APIs, standard protocols, and you can combine these components in myriad ways. Simultaneously, in today's internet age, the information is quite rife, and connectivity and computing power, they are available at very cheap prices. So all of this provides opportunity to you to combine these components and generate insights to create innovative products. You gotta create innovative products that solve existing problem in society. For example, Jeff Bezos, he thought of Amazon. Amazon is a platform and it connects users, the buyers, with sellers. Buyers, they need products at their doorsteps, and sellers, they need to sell their products, and Amazon is trying to solve this societal need. Now Google believes that you should start with a solution to a narrow problem, and thereafter you can extrapolate that solution to large number of problems. Consider Safe Search. It's a feature that is associated with Google account. You can go to your Google account, you can activate this feature, and once you have activated this feature, you will not get porn results in your search results. Now this feature was developed in early 2000s. In early 2000s, the government instructed the search engines to save the porn results. So Google entrusted its team of engineers to devise an algorithm which could differentiate between porn content and the other content. Google engineers looked at Justin Stewart's definition of porn and started analyzing how the users interacted with the porn content, and they observed that the users, they were interacting with the porn content in a disparate way than they were interacting with some other content or maybe some magical content. These differences in user interactivity were used to create an algorithm which became Safe Search. Thereafter, this feature, Safe Search, it was further transmuted to develop features like letting users search for images similar to the images and the search results. You can search for something, you will get some images and the search results, and you can search for images similar to those images. You can start your search with an image instead of typing text. I can put in picture of Mount Everest in that search box instead of typing Mount Everest, and I will get the results, the search results. So you can start with a solution to a narrow problem and look for ways to broaden its scope. Now Google believes that you must optimize for growth, and the best way to create fast growth is to curate fast growing platforms. 100 years ago, if you started a company, slowly it turned into unicorn. Thereafter it became a national organization, and that national organization transmuted itself into global giant in few years, and the whole process was quite slow, and it took around 50-60 years on an average. But a lot has changed in internet age. There has been severe democratization of information, connectivity, computing, and manufacturing capabilities and talent. They are widely distributed throughout the world. This provides opportunity to create a global company very quickly. But this also means that the competition is quite stiff, and the competitive advantages, they do not last long. So you must have a grow big fast strategy. The successful leaders in the internet century will be ones who can understand how to create and quickly grow platforms. In the technical industry, it is a common saying that think platforms, not products. A platform is fundamentally a set of products and services that brings together groups of users and providers to form multi-sided markets. Consider Uber. Uber is a platform. It is connecting two sets of users. The riders who need taxi services and the drivers who want to provide taxi services. So you must optimize for growth, and to generate fast growth you must create platforms. Now Google believes that you must specialize in something. Michael Porter, who is professor at Harvard Business School, he in his book Competitive Strategy Techniques for Analyzing Industries and Competitors talks about an idea that if you specialize on something that is very rare in the market, that is very constrained in the market, you will have very good chances of generating above average results. The reason being, when you specialize on something that is tightly constrained, you generate products that are differentiated. Jim Collins, who is professor at Stanford's Graduate School of Business, he in his book Good to Great talks about a concept called as hedgehog concept, an idea called as hedgehog concept. According to this concept, the best way for a company to grow itself is to focus on some specialty, and the company has to focus on something which it believes it can do better than competitors. These ideas, they were not known to Larry and Sergey, but somehow they thought that they can be best at improving search. So they focused on improving Google search, and as a result of which, Google search, it became better. It was more speedier, it became more accurate, it was easier to use, it was comprehensive in terms of the results it gave. It gave fresh results. So Google became a better search engine as compared to its competitors. But the competitors such as Yahoo, Netscape, they focused on becoming web portals that cater to a wide variety of interests. But Google became the best search engine and it was able to win in the market. So you must specialize on something. Now Google believes that you must build diverse, global and open networks. In pre-internet age, you as a company prefer to do lots of your work in-house. The reason being, doing transactions with other firms was costlier than performing functions in-house. If something had to be done outside your firm, you preferred close set of partners. This is called as Coase law, named after Ronald Coase, who is Nobel laureate from the University of Chicago. But a lot has changed in last 20-25 years. The internet, it has caused the transaction costs to plummet by great extent. And that reduction in the cost is so steep that it makes sense for firms to outsource many of their functions to outside firms. Many of the transactions that firms did in-house, they can be done outside those firms at much lesser costs. So, The internet, it has provided opportunity to outsource many of the functions. Similarly, it has also provided opportunity to connect with wide global networks. Don Tapscott, who is an authority on fourth industrial revolution related developments, he in his book Wikinomics talks about an observation that due to internet, it has become vital for firms to read course law in reverse. The firms, they must prefer to outsource many of their functions first than thinking to execute these functions in-house. But the objective of creating networks shouldn't be just to lower costs or improve operations, but to fundamentally create better products and explore new business models. Look at the successful companies of today: Twitter, Airbnb, Uber, Amazon, Netflix, Spotify. They all have set platforms for users and partners to interact. And those interactions are being used to generate innovations and create differentiated products and services. The platform model, it can work in myriad industries, be it travel, be it automobiles, be it apparels, be it restaurants, be it food, be it retail. The platforms, they are 21st century form of 20th century big corps. In 20th century, the big corps were about those big glassy buildings located in big cities across the world. Now that form has been supplanted by platforms. So build diverse, global and open networks. Now Google believes that you must default to open, not closed systems or platforms. Vint Cerf and Robert Kahn, when they invented TCP/IP or IP, the protocols that you use to connect to internet, they kept those protocols open and they didn't place upper limit on the number of networks which could use these protocols to connect to internet. And as a result of which, internet today is a worldwide phenomenon. Open, it's not a moral argument. It's a strategic tool to drive down innovation and lower costs in an ecosystem. When you open your platform, you invite lots of partners, and that increases innovation in the system, that generates new kind of applications and complementary products, which leads to creation of greater value for the users, and which in turn leads to growth for your platform. But remember that open can be Rashomon-like term. Different companies will interpret it differently to suit their strategic objectives. For Google, open generally means sharing more intellectual property such as software tools or research results, adhering to open standards rather than creating your own, and giving customers freedom to exit your platform easily. Open is terrifying to the establishment mindset or traditional MBA style thinking. Traditionally, MBAs are taught to build relations with the customers and preserve those relations with Fortress. But when you keep your platform open, you seize control. You trade that reduction in the control for innovation and skill. But you can do that only when you trust your smart creatives that they can take advantage of that openness and create more innovation and generate more growth. Openness, it can also be used to harness the talent of large number of people. Bill Joy, who is co-founder of Sun Microsystems, he once observed that irrespective of who you are, the best people, they are working for someone else. So you gotta understand that being open will help you harness those brains. To give an example, Netflix in its early days was beset with a problem. The algorithm it was using to recommend movies to its customers was in a state that it needed improvement. And all the in-house efforts at improving the algorithm, they had plateaued. So Netflix, it conducted an open competition and it shared its customer movie ratings data and the associated data with the algorithm, and the participants, they were invited to use this data and develop a new algorithm. The submissions, they were shared publicly, and within a couple of years the market's best solution emerged. Openness, it also reduces the suspicions of unfair advantage. When people think that everybody is going to be treated uniformly, that enhances trust and that leads to growth. Google implements user freedom instead of customer locked-in. When you go to Google and you subscribe to any of their products or you register for any of their products, if you go through terms and conditions, you will find that there is a clause which mentions that you can anytime stop using Google product and shift to any other product. Google believes in keeping its customers on the basis of merit. But this does not mean that you have to be open in every sphere and in every situation. Google, it has never shared its search algorithms. It is proud of its support for openness, but it has never shared its search algorithms. And it argues that if it shares search algorithms, that might lead to deterioration of user experience, and it is keeping user experience as its priority. Apple, it has never shared its software codes or the technology associated with the development of iPhone, iPad, iPod. It was only when Steve Jobs came and introduced these products in those gala events, we came to know about these products. So if you have got technical insights, that can yield an obviously superior product, and there is a big market for that product, you must prefer closed systems. Now, Google believes that you must not follow your competition. If you are an executive and if you have taken meetings of your team members, you would have realized that when you are discussing something, the team members, they are busy checking their mobile phones, they are busy checking their social media, emails. But the moment you talk about competition, they become alert. Maybe this has to do with the kind of nature humans have, or maybe this has to do with the kind of training that is provided to humans. But Google believes in not following the competition. According to Larry Page, it's not exciting to just do something that is better than your competition. It's not exciting to grow at 6% when your competition is growing at 5%. According to Larry Page, a big part of his job is to get his human resources to not think about competition. There is tendency among employees to think about competition, but Larry always tries to prod them to not think about competition. He wants them to think about creating something new, innovative, that has not been hitherto created, but is direly needed by society. This does not mean that competition has got no value. It helps us become better. It helps us stay on our toes. When Microsoft launched its Bing engine in 2009, Google became alert. Google kicked off an all hands on the deck process to improve Google search. And as a result of that process, many of the new features were introduced that improved Google search. For instance, Google Instant. You get search results as you type before you press that return key. But remember that overarchingly, the Google believes that you must not follow your competition. You must think about creating something new that has not been hitherto created and is direly needed by society. Dr. Eric Schmidt, he became Chief Executive Officer in 2001 and he was CEO of Google for about a decade. And throughout that decade, he saw Google's transformation from a startup based in Silicon Valley to a global giant. Throughout this journey, he led lots of meetings, strategic meetings, and he has accumulated deluge of strategic wisdom. He has shared that wisdom in this book, How Google Works. According to him, the right strategy, it has inputs of large number of people working in concert to achieve a particular aim. The right strategy, it has to has large number of people providing their inputs and all of those people, they have to work towards a particular goal. Iteration is the most important part of your strategy. You cannot have a foolproof strategy in today's internet age. You need to have a strategy, you need to go out, see what's working, you need to iterate. Many of the successful companies, they have become successful in following manner. They have solved the problem in a novel way. They have used that solution to grow and spread quickly. And the success was largely based on their products. So you got to contemplate factors of production where technology can drive down the costs. You got to think about what new platforms can be developed or what new platforms will emerge. Since there is plethora of market information and there is broad availability of capital, you need to spend vast amount of time thinking about your products and platforms. In pre-internet age, you used to spend about 30% of your time thinking about platforms and developing your products or platforms. And you had to spend 70% of your time marketing your products and platforms. But in today's times, you must allocate 70% of your time developing your products and platforms and just use 30% of your time to market your products or platforms. Growth is sacrosanct. It matters most. All the big successes and the internet is, they will be based on fast growth. Now, when you are creating your own company, you will find there will be lots of disruptors. Or if you are an incumbent, you will be disrupted by many new companies. So if you are an incumbent, you can choose to build or acquire your disruptors. You can build your disruptor to keep your competition at bay or keep your competitor at bay, or you can acquire your disruptors. There is time limit to ignorance. You cannot ignore your disruptors for long time. And if you are a disruptor, understand the tools the incumbents will use to tackle you. They will use existing business relationships, regulations and lawsuits, lobbying to somehow stall your growth. Management gurus, they have been talking about the importance of human resources since the dawn of modern management. In the age of fourth industrial revolution, still the most important resource at your disposal is your human resource. So the category of people that you choose to work on your strategy must be chosen very carefully. They must include smart creatives who have got good perspective on the changes to come, who can create innovations, who are natural learners. In addition to people who have got longest and biggest titles, you have to include those, but you must find smart creatives. You also have to consider the role of other players beyond your division, beyond your company or team, and you have to find ways how you can align their motivations with your requirements. Google has used this strategic wisdom to become what it is today. You can use these strategic insights to create some innovative product and solve a societal need. That way, you can create your internet age success story.